Are you looking for partnership, strategy, consistency, and accountability? Well, Activation Nation is for you. Join our group for coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs for the support you need as we strive to activate 1,000 coaches to seeing their businesses be successful. Make sure you subscribe now at Facebook/groups/Activation Nation 1000. See you in the group. Tune in for the activation required to make an impact through your purpose at work and in the world. From sales and marketing executive to now an international speaker, life and business coach, and media host, hosted by Melissa D. White, the activation specialist. That's me. We're getting real about personal and professional moments with the world's top leaders and influencers to help you activate your voice and amplify your story. Now, let's get activated. Hey, family, welcome back for this week's episode of the Activation Hour podcast. My favorite time of the week when I get to sit with you, my audience and Activation Nation, where this season 2, we're doing unlearning. Guys, every week just continues to build upon itself. And if you've been locked in with me, you already know this is a safe place for transparency, great conversation, and to join each other on this journey. And from episode 1 all the way to now, we're in episode 17, and I'm excited. This has you the community have tuned in with me. You subscribed. You guys have been amazing. And so this week I'm super excited for 2 reasons because I'm not only joined by an amazing guest who's an author. She's an amazing leader. She's a champion of people and giving a voice to people. And now, as her coach, I get to congratulate her as a newly certified life and leadership coach. Coach Delila Shantea House is joining me for today's Activation Hour podcast, where we're going to talk about friendship, mentorship, and balance. So this is kind of a continuance of really the last few episodes where we talked about mentorship and what that looks like and building that relationship. But that's not the only important relationship you need. You have to have some balance. Friendships are important too. And this amazing lady, this new coach and established author, has a book that you have to check out. Her devotional and her movement, as I call it, A Friend I Got You, has been such an important piece of what we as women and as a community need to support each other, especially in these times. So I'm excited to sit down with Coach Delilah House today. She's the owner of Delila Shantea Coaching, her new coaching business. And we'll talk more about the energy and the effort that she's put in with Activation Coaching International to become certified and build her business. She also works for MMA as a regional training specialist. So she's no stranger to giving people the tools they need to succeed. She's also established. She's from Mississippi, but now in the Memphis area. So if you're in Memphis, show her some love because she has over a decade of experience in multifamily. She's also been able to help challenging properties develop future leadership teams. So she's going to take that corporate experience to build out a coaching program to help you establish mentorship, leadership, and even establish the friendships you need to be successful in business. You're tuned into the Activation Hour with my guest, Coach Delilah House. Hey, Delilah, or should I say Coach Delilah?
Yay, I'm excited about that. I'm super excited about that.
Long time coming. So I wanted this to be like your debut as a coach. And trust me, that smile on her face is a big smile, well earned. I could call her a star pupil, if you will. And truly, you've put in the blood, sweat, and tears to building your business. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially a coaching practice from the ground. So how's that experience? And you can be totally honest. I know it's me and I'm your coach.
I know.
To launch out and be a coach, what's that like for you now?
So super excited that, like, just to hear you say that, because, I've spent these last couple of weeks with you, and you heard it all and been that coach. And, I was able to say, I'm able to say Coach Mel taught me that now, just like you always talk about your coach. And I think, like, just hearing you say it right now, that definitely puts that smile on your face. Like, I'm certified. I can, come out here and I can do this thing, and I can do what I've been doing for so long and love to do, but knowing that I'm certified and I have those credentials and that support behind me.
It's an amazing thing, even for me, because I set a very clear intention at the beginning of 2020 that I would not do this journey alone anymore. I've been a coach for 4 years now. And, when you're getting out the gate and you're learning, you try to do everything yourself. You're trying to do all of your own planning, all of your own booking, all of your own leads, all of your own air, and it's insane. And so to have you as one of our team members, as an activation coach, to have you as one of our first certified, graduates to complete the program, for me, it's exciting because to pass that on, like someone poured into me, and there's no better feeling than to pour it back into someone else, which is the perfect example of our topic of friendship, mentorship, and then balance. And I like to think we struck a good balance in the relationship.
We did. We absolutely did. From the first time that I met you, I met you when you were talking about mentorship, which is really funny.
And tell them about that. That's so funny.
And so you, as she said, both of us are in the property management industry. And so I'm in the diversity and leadership program for the National Apartment Association. And, so lucky to have you as one of the committee members and one of our panelists during our time. And I actually, found that quote that I sent over to you. And you made that statement that if you want someone to be your mentor, you should study them. Like you have to understand like what, who your mentor is, because you need to make sure that that person is like the right person for you. And one of the things you told us was, a mentor, they're talking about you in the room, and you told us a couple more things, but as we go through, I'll talk about those. But just knowing that you have that person to kind of talk about you in the room, like, when you're not there, and you have that person that you can lean on and, have that support with. And you made it clear what we should be looking for in a mentor and how we should be looking for it. And the funny thing, we came full circle, and, here we are with 6-7 months later.
That is so crazy. I'm glad you brought that up. It is a full circle moment. That relationships, they will evolve, in my opinion, in one of those categories. If you choose to maintain the connection, right? Is either association, friendship, and then the core 3 relationships I talked about, which are mentorship, sponsorship, and advocacy. And, when we talk about, and I've definitely, it's always an honor to me when people are referred to the program, and you said, hey, a friend referred me, and you were so intentional about, hey, I don't want to just be a coach or any coach. I want to be certified. And I respect that. I always respect when people want to be a student of their craft. Yes. And you were an excellent student of your craft. Coaching is a craft. It's a calling and a craft that you cultivate. And so I just wanted to set the background for our audience to know that, you are officially a certified coach, and publicly congratulate you. So this is
I know. Yeah. I'm definitely excited about that. So like, I'm gonna get off the call and like kind of run around a couple times. So I can finally tell everybody that. So.
Yeah, you earned that victory lap. Absolutely. So, when we were preparing for this conversation, I said, hey, what do we want to talk about as we launch you out into your coaching business? Tell us about the idea, the mission behind Delila Shantea Coaching, and why friendship and mentorship and even leadership are important. Those 3 relationships are important.
Right. So Delila Shantea was for me the business side of who I was. And then, Friend I Got You is who I am as a person. It's my purpose. That's another connection that I was able to have with you, because you don't have that connection all the time with people. So I was able to explore that connection with you and know that Delila Shantea could be the business that I am, because I am a leader in my industry. Even if I don't necessarily always see myself as a leader, I'm a leader in some type of way. And just because you may not have that, huge title, it doesn't make you, any less of a leader. So the janitor at a place can be a leader, the cook at a restaurant can be a leader. So it doesn't matter like what position that you have. You can't play those positions down, because everyone is a leader in their own way.
I love that you led with that your title does not make you any less of a leader. And I think that's a very important and powerful statement to make, especially nowadays. And I mean, we know what climate we're in. We know how we're feeling as Black women in this climate. And being totally honest, then that oftentimes with, having to fight our way into leadership and positions of power, that we've always had influence. But oftentimes, if you don't have the title, you're not giving the credit or giving the recognition, right? So I think that's a very powerful, I'm going to call it a declaration that you said. A title does not make you a leader.
It does not.
But for the ones who have the title, then what's, I guess, the expectation for them to mentor or maybe even to forge friendships and alliances in their organization?
Right. So, I mean, once you get that title, because sometimes we know people get that title and they're not a leader. They probably, maybe should not even be in that position. But if you've gotten in that position and you're trying to figure out, like, how do I become a better leader, then that's what my program is going to be for. Because I want to help you go, strengthen yourself. And sometimes we are leaders. We at one point we were a better leader and we get into that slump. And so we need to know, how do I get out of that slump? That it's also for that. So I think that if you have that title, it's definitely your responsibility to actually build other people. Like if you're not willing to build other people, maybe you should step out of that position of leadership and let someone else have it that's going to be able to build someone else. Having, being that leader and having that leadership position, when you take that vow to say, I'm going to be a leader, then you're also saying that I'm going to build some other people up to be able to take my position, because ultimately we all should want to be a stronger leader or move forward. So we should be preparing for the person behind us.
You're hitting us like we've been in like a few minutes in. You're like, oh, like, this is what you need to do. If you're a leader, then hey, welcome to the masterclass. Get your notebook ready. And it's your responsibility to build your people, and that even means building them up in terms of social emotional awareness. I've probably mentioned this just about every episode, because I think it's the common thread in every episode we've had this season. Is self-awareness and emotional intelligence, because those are the things needed to unlearn. So to unlearn bad leadership, you have to relearn or reestablish that leadership, you're responsible for every facet of your people, not just the job they do. No. You're responsible for the quality of the relationships, right?
Exactly.
And for their future trajectory. They do have a part. Now, employees don't get it. You got to, right?
Exactly. You got to want to be a leader.
You have to want to be one. So what are some of the things that you, as we spent time together crafting your coaching model and the things you're going to do in Delila Shantea Coaching, what are some of the principles of what you're going to do in your coaching model to help with leaders be better mentors specifically?
Right. And so for me, it's, one, trying to explain to them that, just because you, one, are a leader doesn't make you a good mentor. So balancing that relationship out, like, what is a mentor? Who is a leader? Because they can be two separate things for people. Then, making that balance and creating that balance for yourself so that you can show other people what that balance is going to be as well. And then also making sure you're allowing your teams to kind of set goals. How do they set goals? Are you setting goals for your teams? So we always know that, everyone talks about the SMART goals, but at the end of the day, if we don't have, that, goal to get to, then what are we really working towards? So it's all about like really building you up as a leader, showing you the difference between a leader and a mentor, and trying to see if you're going to be both or if you can be both. And sometimes people can't be both. You may just be a good leader and not necessarily a good mentor, because you also have to make that time for people when you're going to be a mentor to them.
That is important. Time is important. And, I want to talk about, you said earlier about employees, right? And they may or may not desire to be a leader.
Exactly.
May be told, and some people are like that. Like you and I both come from the property management industry, and we have a couple of property managers that are listening live, watching live or listening to this. And we, like, for example, for a sales team or leasing professionals, they may excel in that area. That's their genius zone, as my mentor, Dr. Debbie Phillips, says, and they're fine with that.
Exactly.
So, okay, how can you be the best at that thing, right? But then there are those who say, no, this is good for me right now, but I aspire to more.
Exactly.
How do you identify that person as a potential mentor and go grab them to cultivate? How do you identify the one that wants to get ahead?
I think you can see the ones that want to get ahead. And if you're building a relationship, you start to know who wants to get ahead. And that's all about knowing your people and your team. If you don't know them, I love like the getting to know you forms and things like that, because I need to know who you are. And when I know who you are and I know what your goals are, and I'm okay with what your goals are, because sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want to hire anybody who wants to leave in 2 years or who wants to advance. Like, if you are a leader, you can't be that way. That does not really classify as a good leader, because you are holding up there. Like, why would they want to work for you? If you're telling me I don't want you to leave in 2 years because I need you here, then I shouldn't want to work for you. Yeah. I want to work for a leader who is going to allow me the advancement. So I feel like you can find those people. One, like I said, getting to know them, getting to know your team. As a leader, you shouldn't be so distanced from your team where I'm only emailing you, I'm only, sitting down with you when it's important, or it's about numbers, or it's about, anything else. I should also have that one-on-one check-in time with you, just to see how you're doing. What are your goals? How are you feeling? What's your next steps? And I think if you're doing that as a leader, you'll see who wants to go to the next level and who maybe needs to be mentored to be a good leader in the level that they're at.
So I want to shift a little bit and talk about how we've had to adapt to the way we're doing that now. Many people are working remotely. I think when I checked in with you last week, this was just your first week back into the field. You've been remote up until maybe a week ago. So that means as a leader in your own organization, your own right, you're trying to not only be a leader, but train and teach and do all these things remotely. It feels impossible. How do you do that for real, effectively?
Yeah, for me, I was someone, I traveled all the time before COVID happened, and I like being on site. Like, I'm not, necessarily the one that likes to be in the office. I like being on site. I like being able to see the team, because that's another way when you're being effective, like actually seeing the person's face when they're talking to you. You can feel the emotion from them, versus when you're virtual and you're having to exert a lot of energy, and then you don't know if the energy they're giving you back is the right energy or not, or if they're really understanding. And it was funny because I was training someone this week, and they asked me, do you like it better virtually or being in person? And for me, I definitely like being in person with you. So like being able to travel last week and being on site with the teams, it was fun. It put me back into my, my old zone. I felt accomplished then, because I could tell what that person was doing.
So for you, I get it. Many people that are listening, some of you are still, social distancing or quarantining. Your companies are still allowing virtual. And for some, that's going to be a reality for a long time. Some companies have extended into, 2021. Yeah. And so leadership is challenging enough with current condition. How do you now add to that equation mentorship, which is an extra step? when dealing with people, and got an audience. Those of you who are listening, I want to hear from you. Like, what are the things, because we ask leaders a lot of questions. I want to hear from you. What are the things you all as our audience need from your leaders that you may not be getting right now? Drop a comment while we're hearing from Coach Delilah here on what you need from your leader. Now, Delilah, what are some things as leaders you can do to help add in this other layer of mentorship?
Right. And virtually, I know a lot of us are just like, oh, I'm going to do a meeting virtually that's going to take care of like whatever we need for the company. But just take time out to have a meeting where, it's strictly about team building. It has nothing else to do with, numbers, because I know we all, see those numbers. And for those of us that are in our industry, we're, wrapping up that third quarter, and fourth quarter is usually that one where we're really kind of, hey, we have to get all of this done. But take time out just to have a team building exercise. Figure out, use the creativity of your team. Like, play a Jeopardy game on your virtual instead of doing all of your like just regular meeting stuff. And then allow your team to kind of, lead that meeting for you instead of you leading the meeting. So then you can kind of see where they're at, and if they have like, issues and things like that, then they know that they're able to come talk to you. So I think it's all about having that one-on-one check-in time with them still. And then also having that time as a team just to do team building, and it has nothing else to do with work. Because we know that everything is about work. We understand that we have to work, and, we're, having that energy, and, for me, training and having to see and feel that energy for myself throughout the training. And, it's sometimes hard to keep up, but that you have to keep doing it. And so for leaders, I think it's very important that you just make sure you have time for that team building for your teams. And not to take out your frustrations of like your virtual working on your team. If you're the leader, you have to, sometimes as a leader, you have to have a coach or a mentor yourself. And then, talk to them about how you can handle that time or handle what you're going through because of your working in that virtual world, and try not to take it out on your team members.
That's really good. I dropped a few of your nuggets here about connecting virtually, use the creativity of your team, and then allow the team to lead, which is what we call managing up. And I almost think there's an opportunity, hint, hint, to mentor up, right? I think some of the best assessments recently that I've seen for mentorship in the workplace, leadership in the workplace, is where employees can give a leadership score, right? On how important leader is. And it's hard because there's a lot of distractions and leaders are putting out a lot of fires, but you can't forget that your people are really the essence of your company, and they're the reason why you're there, other than, of course, your client and your customer. So here's the other ingredient in this whole topic is friendship. Now, I want to kind of lay, again, the background story for our audience, because this lady, our coach, author extraordinaire, you're the author of a book called Friend, I Got You. And what I love so much about, when learning about your book, although it's a devotional on different friendship principles and loyalty, and just even the way you communicate via your platform to connect people and support, it hits home very closely today as I was preparing for my talk with you. Many people are hurting in the workplace right now. Many employees have felt unsupported right now. And so, Friend, I Got You, we can almost supplement that friend part with employee, I got you, team member, I got you. Exactly. And so tell us more about your devotional and the things you're doing in the devotional to apply to the workplace.
So for me, I am definitely not ashamed of my spiritual background. And I know when we first met, I told you like, hey, listen, I'm going to just be honest with you. This is who I am, and I'm okay with that. And so I know that my kingdom, purpose is in the marketplace. And so for me, the majority of my first buyers of my book were my coworkers, which was very surprising to me. But they all bought, my book, and, we were all still home working remotely, and they were, posting pictures, sending me text messages. So that lets you know that even though sometimes you feel like people don't necessarily, you can't open that door with them, you can. And for me, I wrote the devotional at a time in my life where things were changing for me. And I had to make a choice of how I wanted to live, how I wanted to move forward with things. And I can say I wrote it. I lived it out. I did exactly what I tell everyone else to do in the devotional. It's a 2-week devotional. I actually have it here. I'll show it to you. So this is it. You can get it on my website. And so I went through this devotional as I was writing it because I needed it. And a lot of it is the simple stuff. It's not like, the things that are like deep down that we think about sometimes that are in devotionals. It's the simple stuff. Believing in yourself. Knowing, that you have a purpose and being okay with your purpose. And as a leader, I think we have to know that we have to have the confidence in ourselves in order to help our team members have that confidence. And so it's all about purpose and finding that purpose for you. And not one part of it is talking about being a strong person. A lot of times as a leader, you kind of, say, hey, I'm the strong person. I got to do this. I have to take on all this. But you don't have to. You don't have to be the strong person all the time. That's what your team is for. If you're a good leader, your team is going to support you and they're going to rally around you when you are weak. So
it's funny you mentioned that. Even a bridge to last week's episode with coach and therapist Cody Martin, we talked about, a therapist needs a therapist. And you and I, we always say coaches need coaches. Well, leaders, you need leaders. And oftentimes the leader you need, meaning there may be areas where you're weak and the next emerging leader may be among your team. And that even if you have to find a peer equivalent in another organization or another part of your industry to help balance you, then go find that. But don't go through this alone. I've seen more of that. I don't know about you, just especially on social media. Like, hey guys, I need help. What are you doing? What strategies are you using? I'm struggling here. And so they're looking for coaches. I see leaders truly humbling themselves and say, hey, I don't have the answers.
Exactly.
As a leader, that's the strongest thing you can ever say is I don't know.
But you'll find out.
But I'll go find out. I'll find someone who can. Right? So guys, if you want to get that devotional, Friend, I Got You, I put the link here at the bottom. And definitely support it because as you share, it has some spiritual biblical principles in it, but it's very applicable to work and to the marketplace. And how amazing is it, like you said, your coworkers, it was your very team who supported you. We spend more time with the people we work with than anybody else, right?
Exactly.
And so that, and that's your job, lended that balance there. So that here's a great balance. The balance to say, hey, we appreciate who you are as a leader, but we also make room and respect who you are outside of that because it makes you a better employee for us.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely makes me a better one for him.
Tell us more about that balance. That's a big deal for you and I. We've talked about that a lot.
For me, you have to have that balance between work. Everyone always talks about the balance between work and life, but it's not necessarily always just about that work and life. You have, you do have your life part, but you have so many facets of life that you have to try to find a balance within, but you have work, you have, your spiritual side of everything. So it's more than just, work and life. It's not really truly a work-life balance. And we can't really call it that anymore because you're trying to balance so many other things in between it. And it's all about setting those boundaries. I know what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. I know if it's 9:00 at night and I don't want to hear any foolishness, I'm not answering the phone. I'm just not, because I need to be able to go to sleep and wake up in a different mindset because sometimes you have to do that for yourself. And if you don't, then you're going to find yourself stressed out. And then you're going to be needing Cody from last week to kind of help you out a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think we all need, I say there's two people, probably really three relationships or three people I need. Absolutely. Which is my pastor, my coach, and my therapist. That's the dream team right now, especially especially in this season. But seriously, like, the balance is important, not just the work-life piece, but between work relationships, though.
Mm-hmm.
You alluded to it earlier when you talked about, hey, every meeting doesn't always have to be so serious or about the numbers and the performance it's like at some point your people are just gonna feel like all you do is drive them and drill into them. How do you balance the humanity?
Exactly.
Especially on a day like today. Can I go there and just be honest? Can I be real?
You can, and it's so, when you say like a day like today, a friend of mine, she posted how her boss was, came in, had a meeting and was like, I wanted you guys to know that not all of us are not okay today. And, that's like a huge deal for someone to be able to do that. Like all of us are not okay today. And we need to be able to understand that. And you have to understand that, your coworkers, your employees, they have lives and they have things that are going on. And as much as we tell them, hey, leave your feelings at the door, it's not always easy to do that. But when they're able to see you not only as a boss, but as someone that they can come to and confide in, and they know that you're not going to necessarily judge them and you're going to, tell them the things that maybe they need to hear in that moment, it's nothing better than that. I know, like when I was on site as a property manager, I would tell my team all the time, I may be mad at you and tell you that you need to do this, this, and this. By 11 o'clock, at 12 o'clock, I may be buying you lunch because it's not personal. We're going to do, we're going to do the work. But at the end of the day, I still love you as my team and I still respect you as my team. And a lot of them will tell you that about me. That's who I am. Because if, you were a part of my team, then I treated you like my family, because like you said, we spend most of our day with our team members, and that's how we should feel about them. We should be able to understand that even though, it's a work environment, we have to be able to balance a place where we can, have that vulnerability with them.
Absolutely. I think it's very important. And for any of you who are watching this, or you're going to listen to, the audio on all of our podcast platforms, if you're wondering, what do they mean by a day like today? I'm just it, like, we as Americans, as Black women in America, it's been especially hard when, after the killing of Breonna Taylor, the cries for justice for Breonna Taylor, after experiencing, and mourning the killing of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and all of the countless names. They're not just hashtag, they're names. So it's the human lives, Black lives lost. That it's really yesterday, I really just wanted to post Black women are tired. That was my mood. If that was a mood, I'm tired. And I even saw someone post like, hey, yesterday morning, they said, every Black woman in America is going to show up to work and get on Zoom, even virtually. We're going to get on Zoom calls. We're going to put on our happy face. We're going to act okay. And I thought about you. I thought about a friend I got, and it's like, where do we go? And it's like, I'm not really okay, but I'm going to play the part. I'm going to do what I have to do and navigate this space today. But in America, to be Black in America, to be a woman, and here's the thing: what I appreciate is for our peers who are not Black women to say, you know what, I'm sorry. Do you need anything? Do you just want to talk about it? Do you want to sit down at lunch and maybe not talk about it? Like, so that's going beyond leadership to mentorship and now friendship.
Exactly. Because I can respect you on a totally different level. And that's where that friendship, kind of sticks out. And, just even, someone that is not, the same color as you, to say, hey, I'm super proud of you. I am so proud of what you're doing, so proud of what, you have going on. And you may be looking like, what have I done? Really be proud of them. But it's because you have to accept that compliment of what they see within you, because maybe they see a higher leader in you than, what you may see at that moment. So make sure, we're accepting the compliments from everyone else and not always thinking that they're just trying to downplay it or doing something in the moment. Some people are truly genuine. And let's not take them being genuine about it, for granted, because I can appreciate all the people that I see now versus the, 2 or 3 years ago, it wasn't like this.
I agree with that. I think we have to not look at everyone as an enemy. And I'm not just talking about, color and race, but really there's also a very clear line between employee and leader.
Exactly.
Some people look at their leader like that is not my friend. That is not no. And when truly they could be your biggest advocate and ally.
Exactly.
If you align the relationship that way. Mm-hmm. So don't look for enemies, look for allies.
Exactly. Don't always think that they're trying, maybe sometimes we think that people are really, out to get us, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're actually trying to mold us into what they see within us. And, it's not necessarily easy for us to see that at the moment, but sometimes they're trying to mold us into what they see within us.
Wow. That's powerful. So they're not out to get you. They're out to mold you into what they see in you. And that, there's one word for that, Coach. It's correction.
Exactly.
It's correction. That's what leadership is. Mm-hmm. And some people will take it as being mean or they're hard coming down on me. And I've learned that people don't correct you unless they see better in you. If they feel like that's all you got, then they're probably just gonna leave you alone and be like, okay, let's let their time run out. Let's let the time run out because that's it. That's all I'm gonna get from that. But if they're asking for more, that means they see more in you. And that is the net. And leaders, shame on you if you're not saying those things. You can't be a yes leader.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh, hello. So because nobody trusts that. I remember, and no names, Coach. I would never call out former things, but I remember being at an organization in my past, and every year I would ask for, like, I don't even wait until my review for the feedback. Whether it was because we did peer-to-peer mentorship at this organization, which was great. But I'm like, okay, I'm not really, it wasn't really adequate because they weren't a direct peer. Their roles were different. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then when I would go to my leader, I wanted the truth. I'm like, hey, there's no way I did everything right. I don't know. That's not me being my own worst critic. That's me being realistic. It's like there's something I can put on. So leader, if you're listening to this, your people really do want the truth from you, whether it's hard for you to say or not.
Exactly. That's the only way they're going to be able to change.
So where Coach Delilah comes in is how do you form the response in a way that is constructive to get the desired behavior and result you want? So there's a way to talk to people, to coach and mentor people, right?
Exactly.
To get the desired result. But don't just tell people, yeah, you're great. For like 3, 4, 5 years straight. Yeah, you're great. Really? But yet I'm getting a promotion?
Exactly. Because that would be my question. Okay, so now when is my next, what's my next move? Like, how can you help me get to my next level?
I've been great for 4 years. What's next?
That's definitely going to be the question for me, because I'm the type of person, I want to see my next move. I want to be able to, build. And anyone that I'm mentoring or, that I've been a mentor to, I'm always telling them, if you come up with your own goals, you can't expect your leader to always come up with your goals, because that's how they can kind of see who are going to be their next leaders, because you're proactive in what you're doing. Like, I'm setting my goals. I'm coming to you. Now I'm coming back to say, hey, maybe I didn't meet this goal. This is why. How can you help me? A leader, is not the leader's responsibility to do everything. So if you want to be a future leader, you have to also start, just building things for yourself and setting goals for yourself.
That's good. I pretty much summed it up. Come up with your own goals. That's how leaders are proactive. Leaders don't wait for someone to give direction and instruction. So if you're an employee who wants to be a leader, here's a mentorship cue. We're mentoring you right now. Don't wait for your leader to tell you what to do.
Nope. You can't.
And then you're looking like, but you never told me to do that. Look for organizational opportunities. And put yourself in position. If you see a gap, fill the gap.
You got to do what you got to do when you want to be a leader. You cannot sit in the room and be quiet. You have to be willing to speak up.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So when we come back from a very brief break, I want to talk more about the friendship piece, because we talked about it a minute ago with virtual leadership, where now people are having to be more, to insert more humanity and empathy. And exactly. Honestly, you and I have seen some leaders really, really struggle with that. And I'm going to call it the friendship factor, that there is room for leaders to establish good friendships, or at least be trustworthy and an empathetic voice. Okay?
Exactly.
So let's talk about that more. Don't go anywhere, guys. If this conversation is good to you, share it with somebody. Don't be selfish. Make sure you go ahead and hit that share button. Let your friends know that Coach Delila Shantea is on, and she's answering any questions about leadership, mentorship, and balance. Okay. So you're tuned in with the Activation Hour. I'm your girl, Melissa D. We'll be right back in a few seconds. Don't go anywhere. All right. Are you a manager, trainer, or executive that wants to see maximum results for your team? Well, let me help you with that. Training is for information, but coaching is for results. Learn more about Activation Coaching International and our coaching certification program for business leaders who want to see the best results and even help your team activate their purpose at work and in the world. 65% of people say that working with a coach helped them improve performance at work, and 80% said that coaching helped them improve their self-confidence. What better way to invest in your team than by being a coach through Activation Coaching International? Learn more at bit.ly/ready-to-coach. See our show notes for details. All right, family. You still rocking with us on this Friday. You're tuned in live. Thank you so much. Shout out to our YouTube live family. I see you guys tuning in. Love the comments from our Facebook family and the Activation Nation Facebook group, and also on the Activation Hour page. Guys, thank you so much. Don't be shy. Leave a question or a comment. I'm sure our audience wants to hear, and they have questions too. So drop a comment. I'm watching, and I'll let Coach Delila Shantea know. She is, again, an established author of the devotional book, Friend, I Got You. And she is one of our newly certified coaches with the Activation Coaching International Coaching Training Program. And so what Coach Delilah has done is decided, hey, I'm going to coach up some leaders to be better mentors. And I love that. I love that. And right before the break, we were saying, how do we get the friendship and the empathy factor? Because leaders are struggling. Exactly. When you've been up in the ivory tower, and I'm being honest.
That's true.
I don't know any other way to say it. If you have, I'll just use our industry. You guys have heard our background is from property management. If you haven't been on site and in a leasing role or a manager or been boots on the ground in like 10, 15, 20 years, you might be a little disjointed or disconnected from the real day-to-day challenges of that. How do you reconnect and re-engage empathy and forge better friendships and better connections with your team, Coach?
So I think as a leader, you have to make sure you're seen. So if we are a leader in our industry, in whatever industry you're in, you have to make sure you're seen. If you're always like behind the doors and, behind the scenes and people only know you by your name, then that's probably a problem. You're probably not going to get the empathy from your team members when you're struggling. You may not even get the empathy from your peers or other, leaders, because they don't know who you are, that you've not opened yourself up for people to know who you are. And thankfully, I've had some bad leaders in my past, but thankfully I've had some good leaders, and, currently I have some good leaders. And just being able to have a leader that is connected with you allows you to have empathy for them when they're going through something, because now it's your time to stand up for them. Because we know that leaders are taking a lot of hits right now. They can't do it all on their own. You have so many different things coming at them, just in any industry. And sometimes you, as a leader, you may want to talk to some other people on your team that can point you in the right direction. And I've been so thankful to have a leader who, values the opinion of the rest of the team. I know we've seen some statements come out in the news recently when people, talk about, African Americans are not necessarily qualified and they don't have a pool of them. But then you have all these people on your team that are in these positions. So somewhere along the way, they were qualified, and giving people the opportunity to qualify other people is probably what we need to do, instead of necessarily always just thinking we don't have any more qualified people. The same place that those people came from, there are other people coming from there too. Same education, just because our education may be different, doesn't mean that we're any different. So opening yourself up to that is to be seen amongst your team members is, I think, important for leaders to do, to have that balance and to create that friendship.
That's so excellent. I'm glad you hit on that hot topic this week in the news. Well, and to be totally, forthright about it, I've heard that a lot, during this season where, people are scrambling for diversity hires. Like, oh my gosh, they're looking at their boards or at their teams and on their websites. It's like, we're lacking diversity. Then they say, well, I went and interviewed and just, we didn't have, people of color or Black and brown people who applied who qualified. It's like, well, are you recruiting? And mentorship is intentional. Leadership is intentional. Recruiting is intentional. So that is kind of a great debate right now. And you share some very good insights about that.
Yeah. For me, as a graduate of an HBCU, I know what my college peers are doing. I know some of the positions that they have. I know some of, how much money they're making in their own businesses, working for other businesses. So I know that there are qualified people. And as a leader, you have to be open to say, I'm going to be out here amongst everyone else and not just closed in and wait on people to bring this information to me, because the people that's bringing that information to you may not necessarily be giving you the correct information. And the other thing about that is making sure you have the right opportunity for people of color, for women, for everyone to apply and feel like they can apply or that they may possibly be qualified for the job. So that is...
how can they do that, though, Coach Delilah? Like, what would be a mentorship tip to organizations to be intentional, and what are some of the right places they can go to offer that opportunity?
I think offering internships, that's one of the, easiest ways to do it, because now you're offering an internship, you build you have a mentor within your organization that is paired with this intern. They come in. Some people, they're not even looking for a paid internship. All they want is the experience to be able to put on their resume. So that they can move forward with it. So, I know I work here in Memphis with an organization, and that's all that they do is, try to pair students with companies as an intern. And having that type of organization and you've been able to reach out to that organization, you don't have to do anything else but reach out to that organization and they're going to do everything for you. So just allowing, the interns and knowing that it's not always necessarily something you have to pay for, because a lot of times they just need the experience.
That's good. Internships. And then looking within, you touched on that. I've heard, I'm a student in media. I look for voices and the voices that I trust, especially since, people are talking very openly, a lot of live stream interviews, talks, conversations, and, things of that nature. And I hear leaders just missing the mark. You say, oh, we'll just work hard and you'll get promoted. And to me, that shows the signs of a disconnected leader who realizes that there are those of us who work exceptionally hard, probably 2 or 3 times as hard, and are still passed over. How can we make sure there's something in place? We talked about the internship program. What are maybe some mentorship program tips? How can they start mentorship programs to help identify and create opportunities for everybody, but especially people of color?
So I think that, depending on, what type of organization or what type of industry you're in, whether you create a mentor and a mentee on your corporate level, or if you have like site, levels or anything like that, you take someone that is in that, that is even in that C-suite, right? Because no one in that C-suite never, like they hardly ever like really mentor someone. But having that organization that is willing to do that, and then they, mentor someone, and how you think someone would feel if their CEO is their mentor. Like, and maybe it's not like a director that the CEO is a mentor to, but maybe, is someone on a site level or anything like that, or just, a manager level, not necessarily a director or a vice president. So how do you build those opportunities? I think, one show, and the name is slipping me at the moment, but, Undercover Boss. I absolutely love that show. Because it really shows, the CEOs what their people are going through on site and in whatever industry that you're in. And I think if you are a leader that you truly out there on the ground, and you can truly, like if someone can come to you and say, oh yeah, that person just went through that, or oh, they had that going on, that definitely shows me what type of leader you are. But like, let's say if you are a leader and your employee that's directly under you just got married and you don't even know that, we don't want you to maybe not to be the mentor.
Yeah.
Maybe to go to someone.
I mean, you're like totally disconnected. Office talk, like, like, hey, well, it's your birthday. And I've seen situations where they're having a whole meeting and conversation. And it doesn't necessarily have to buy a cake and have a party during the break, but just, hey, happy birthday.
Exactly.
Everything you do. You doing anything special? Just small talk. If you guys know me, if you're part of Activation Nation or you're part of my tribe, I talk about the book Radical Candor a lot, Coach Delilah. You've heard me talk about it. And a part of it is actually your job as a leader to listen and actually hear and know the little things about your people. Hey, how was your kid's soccer game? Hey, how was the conference you went to? How's your mom doing? I know you've been caring for her. Like, empathy goes a long way with people, man. Yes. So we can't discount that at all. So, Coach, listen, it sounds like we have some leaders who need your services. Guys, if you have questions for Coach Delilah, I put her website here. Connect with her because you have your own coaching program launching. When? Tell the people about your launch.
So I moved my lunch to October 13th. It's going to be a group coaching session. You definitely can go to my website and sign up for it. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Delila Shantea. As far as the coaching is concerned, if you're looking to follow me on the Friend I Got You side, where I'm dropping nuggets for you, just kind of motivating you to continue to be a friend, then it's all at Friend I Got You. And also, I'm on LinkedIn as Delila House if you want to find me on LinkedIn as well.
So mentorship coaching starts, you said October
13th, yes. And it will be virtual. So.
And who's it for? Do you have to be a leader to participate, or who's the ideal?
You cannot. You can. I am a life and leadership coach. And so I am building you up in life or in leadership. And I believe if you're really trying to expand your life, then you're trying to be a leader. So it's going to kind of work together for you. So join me.
Right there. I dropped a reminder. You'll see it on the Activation Hour page. Make sure, guys, drop a huge congratulations. Before we round out this show, I got to show a whole lot of love to Coach Delilah. Yay! I want to see some hearts. Let's blow this thing up. Again, I'm exceptionally proud as a coach. There's no greater honor than to certify and train up and pass the torch to another coach. So welcome to the Activation Hour team. Thank you for being a phenomenal coach. This lady is on top of her stuff. She is verified and certified to coach your team. I said so. So guys, definitely an honor. Thank you for joining me for the Activation Hour. This won't be the last time. I can't wait to report on your success. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being the coach that you are. Guys, if you're looking to be certified as a coach, because I don't believe that, it's just one person for every position, make sure you go and you register with Coach Melissa. She is going to get you there. So she is going to have you full circle. I definitely recommend it. And you're going to enjoy it. So please make sure that if you're looking to be a certified coach, go ahead and hit her up.
Guys, you're awesome. And got some congratulations. Laura House says, congratulations, coach. Definitely had some shout outs from Stella Kyles Coleman. She said, that's very good, Delilah House. You dropped a lot of great knowledge. Thank you so much for being my special guest tonight. Family, if you've tuned in tonight and this was good information for you, let Coach Delilah know. Follow her on social media. Drop her a line on her website or simply just comment here below. The biggest compliment you can give is to share this podcast and subscribe. I'm here with you live every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, or you can subscribe on all platforms where podcasts are available to catch the audio for Activation on the Go. I'm your girl, Melissa D. I'm signing out for another week. Make sure you join back next week on the Activation Hour. Good night, everybody. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and share with a friend. Also, if you really want to get behind the scenes, go now to our YouTube channel at The Activation Hour. The link is found in the show notes for you to actually see my guests live and in person, and to even catch more details of our conversation behind the scenes. Stay connected and join us next time for The Activation Hour, Purpose at Work and in the World.